Story Grows. I'm Brad Patton. Today we welcome Amy and Michael from Preyrs to the podcast. Preyrs' self-titled debut is out this Friday on Pelagic Records. Amy and Michael talk about the economic realities of being a musician in Germany versus Ireland, the musical evolution and how that led to a rebrand, writing an album on a remote Canadian island, digging deep to be vulnerable lyrically, and a lot more. I love this album a lot, and it's a conversation where it makes me enjoy the band even more than I did going into the podcast. So make sure Preyrs is on your Friday listening list. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. You can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page. And if you aren't subscribed to the podcast, I would love it if you subscribed on your podcast platform of choice. Enjoy today's conversation with Amy and Michael from Preyrs.
Into the blue, it's all because you're not insane. What's into you a little more guilt and shame. It's a difficult game when they don't want to know your name, they want to bury you.
How are you guys doing today?
Good, thank you, man.
Yeah.
What have you got back there? Are you a drummer, a bass player, or a guitar player, or a bit of all?
A bit of all. And instead of focusing on being good at one thing, I was like, what if I'm mediocre at a lot of shit?
I'm from that school of music too.
Yeah. It's like I played guitar and then I just watched people play drums and I was like, I could probably do that. And I could.
Yeah, nice. What kit have you got there?
There's a Gretsch Catalina club.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's a big old 24 by 24 kick. It's too big for the space. It's way too fucking big. But
more is more.
well, right. I'm just like I bought it when I played more, and my space keeps shrinking. But
Your space keeps shrinking, did you say?
the space I have for my stuff keeps shrinking. Not that's.
Yeah.
It's good times. You guys where are you, in Belfast?
No, we are actually in South Germany near George.
Nice.
So we kind of spend time between Ireland and Germany just from playing so many gigs over here.
Nice.
We kind of thought it would be a good idea to have a little base in Ireland and over here.
Nice. Is the German scene just better as trying to make a living as a musician, or is it just where the fans are?
It's funny. It's a double-edged sword because we came from Ireland, which is super small, where every musician knows each other and all the bands are quite connected.
Yeah.
But then Germany, but it's harder to play music full time because it's so small and there's only a few places to play. But then you move to the continent and you can really play. You could play 365 days a year if you wanted to. So, we're lucky that way. There's a lot of small towns, and we have an agent in France and Germany now, and Switzerland. So we can play as much as we want here, man. But then that, like you said, that the feeling connected to a scene, whether or not we have tapped into one.
Yeah.
We haven't met as many people as we would have from Ireland, so it's. But yeah, we are lucky to get to play a lot here. So
yeah, that's cool, and I mean that's kind of the goal and dream, right? Just to be able to play music and not have to worry about some other job, right?
Yeah, no, big time. And Germany, unlike the UK, I don't know what the States is like, but the Germans still buy CDs. T-shirts, vinyls, so it's quite a healthy market still for, which is great for DIY musicians and bands. So yeah, that keeps us alive,
That's awesome. Let's just start, what got each of you into music?
Oh, what got me into music was singing Mary, Mary, quite contrary. When I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I think I stood on a stage with a microphone in my hand for the first time when I was 8 or 9 years old. So I started off in kind of like singing competitions as a kid, and that very quickly evolved into getting my first guitar when I was 13 or 14. And then started to write some music when I was around 15, and I went busking as a teenager in Belfast and Dublin, and loved that. Made loads of money out of that, and of course learned how to not only to project my voice from busking, but busking was a great way to kind of get to know the people behind the face, on the streets, by talking to anybody who would stop to have a chat, and so my busking days really kind of shaped myself, I would say, and then a few years later I met Michael, and we started to record some music together, and nice. That's my story in a nutshell.
I could probably narrow that broad question down to, I'm going to say harmony, because I just while Amy was talking there, I thought actually, when we were driving along in the car as kids, and my parents would play, they would have very different music tastes. Dad was a rocker and Mum was sort of listening to church music, but they could meet at the Eagles, and the Beatles early stuff, so the Red and the Blue records. So and so harmony and singing was a big part of like going, okay, what the richness of that coming through the car stereo, and then of course when Mum was out of the house, Dad would play Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin records, and the drums would be pumping out of the stereo, and I'd be like, oh, I've got to get inside there, So, yeah.
That's cool. Amy, you mentioned busking. The press release says you two met while she was busking. How did that first interaction go? And what was that catalyst where you were like, we should do something together?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think maybe the exact moment that we met it wasn't on the street while I was busking.
Ireland is small, but it's not that small. But no doubt I probably heard Amy from 2 streets over, because she's got some serious pipes.
Yeah.
So,
I actually think it was something like a video was circulating of me playing at some event, and I think it found its way to you, and then you had got in touch with me to ask me if I wanted to come in and record the song, one of my own songs, or anything in the studio.
Yeah, and then I got a little phone recording of Amy sitting in her playing an original song, and I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, we've got to work together. So yeah, next minute we're putting down our first few original songs together, and
and that was 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've been working together for quite some time. After working together for so long, I think more and more comes out of what you can create, because you get to know each other's way. And to be honest, I don't know any other way. From working with Michael from the very beginning. So it's definitely given us some amazing big songs that I'm extremely proud of.
Yeah. What leads to the decision here in the last few years to go away from like Amy Montgomery project or band or into, Preyrs and this full on band?
Yeah. Well, honestly, just the natural evolution of what my music was starting to become was, obviously I started off as just myself. Over time that grew into me and Michael, and then it grew into a 3-piece band, and then it grew into a 4-piece band, and with that comes the love of big muffs and and fuzz, and that just going more and more, but it was especially with this record, we noticed that the songs that we were coming out with were a lot different to everything that had been put out under my name in the past. And we really just felt like it was the perfect time to just put this and everything that comes after this in the future in this project under a separate name, it kind of opens up this space for us to be able to experiment with heavier, more raw, I suppose, sounds, and more honest, and sometimes darker lyricism than what I was doing before. It just opens up a blank canvas for that, and for us to experiment with that in the future, and also still leaves, me and my name free to kind of do what I will, whatever that might be in the future,
Yeah, I suppose as well, just to mention, which is an interesting 21st century problem, that everything lives on YouTube now, and
right.
It was really interesting that we said to our agent, actually our band's actually really heavy now. Let's try and play this rock festival or this metal festival, and then you have a situation where a programmer for a festival punches into YouTube, Amy Montgomery, and then he just they land on a beautiful piano ballad from 5 years ago, and very quickly you could be written off. So it was super interesting, a little bit scary to rebrand, of course. Yeah.
Very scary
that we put so much energy into playing under Amy's name and building up. But then, interestingly, straight away, our agent shopped around the first sort of recordings and a really cool live session that we'd branded as Preyrs, and he came back and got us one of the biggest metal festivals in the UK called Bloodstock. So. And then we were worried that we weren't heavy enough for. So we went from being the heaviest band at some like folk and pop festivals to being the lightest band at these metal festivals. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was, with everything being on the internet, it's like you do all that work to build this brand, and then it's like, okay, actually we need to rebrand. And it's like, who wants to do that?
I know.
It is. It was super scary. It still is super scary, to be honest. Obviously everything that I had built up under my name, especially online. I mean, really, the only scary things about all of this is the perception of you online. Really, like, that's it. Right. If that wasn't a part of this conversation, it would only be exciting. So. But unfortunately, that's not the world we're living in, is it?
Yeah. It's hard. It's easy. It's slightly easier to get a gig if you've got 10,000 followers on this, and then all of a sudden you're back to zero, and you go, "Oh God, will a festival still be interested?" Even though it's the same band and we're super tight, and everything, the music's the same. You go, "Wow!" So yeah. But so far so good. I would say, yeah.
What was the inspiration for the name?
For the Preyrs name?
Yeah.
You can maybe.
I think we stumbled upon the wordplay and the name. Hadn't fully sort of figured out how we were going to spell it, but definitely liked the idea of the connotations of when you say pray versus when you mess with that, and it's actually it sounds like this, but it looks like this.
Yeah.
And then the more we sat with that, then that ended up having, I don't know if it was subconscious, but it plays into the lyrical themes and sort of what you project. You could speak on this a bit better, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. The kind of duality of the two versions of Prey is exactly reflecting what we do musically, not just in this first album. I would definitely say everything that's to come from Preyrs. Yeah. It will be somewhere in that realm. Also, for me, what I love about the name is that when you see the logo, the two R's are kind of reflecting off each other, and there's an even amount of letters in the name, which makes it kind of like the two R's are symmetrical then, which also reflects the kind of idea of holding up a mirror to yourself, others, or the world around you, in order to come out with what I think anyway is pretty deep and reflective lyricism, but with the aggression of the musicality. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, and there are some spiritual themes you could dip into, but then it always has that ferocity when the band comes together, and it's just you attack the audience. So it's a lot of fun to sort of play on that idea.
Yeah. But I think because I grew up in a very religious environment, sometimes I wonder if because of that, I see religious themes in things that aren't there. But I definitely like in the prayers, and it's like that dual meaning for sure. Like that, yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I'm just outside Washington, D.C. That's where I still live. But yeah, growing up in the church in a very religious household.
Yeah. Well, that's the same for us too. In Ireland, it's everywhere too. So it's it's really nice to create a space for yourself, where you can explore things in from a different perspective as well.
Yeah. Speaking of being maybe the lightest band in a heavy scene, talked about signing with Pelagic Records. How'd you get connected with the label?
Just once we'd kind of finished the batch of recordings, we've had a journey of like fierce independence. We've always made our own CDs. We've even made our own vinyls. Small batches, and then we've done these tours, like very cottage industry, but it's been full time for us doing this. And we did a little bit of a shop around, thinking, right, it would be really nice now to expand the team and give away a bit of the business and let us be musicians and spend less time at the laptops as the 21st century musicians finds himself doing more than writing songs. But
you say as well a laptop.
But no, it was we'd nearly we'd sort of hit a few brick walls, and then just tried one more sort of shot at sending the record out, and happened to be an Irish guy working at Pelagic who are based in Berlin, so that was a little bit of an en route, and he really loved it, and he said he'd play it to the guys in the office, and then it excited them, and sort of and we've hooked up with those guys.
It was such a close call. The first release, Wave of Wisdom, was already uploaded. Seriously, it was already uploaded to be released independently, and then the conversation with Pelagic came along, and I actually had to cancel the release.
But that's been really. It's been really cool. It's been a journey and a learning curve getting involved because of doing so much ourselves, and then all of a sudden, we thought, I suppose naively, that it'll be easier when there's a label involved. But I think we spend more time on the laptop.
All for good reason. All for good reason, right?
Yeah.
After sadness, there is light.
Album's called The Wounded Healer. You guys went to an island in Canada to write this record. Did you just feel you needed the change of scenery, or was there something that was drawing you away?
Well,
you can tell the story.
We were basically on our way to Ireland. We have a small studio space there, and I got a call from a friend who lives on Wolf Island, and they said they were going to be making some music and would I come and play drums on this record right in the middle of winter in this old hotel that they'd built their studio into, and then I said but Amy and I, we were going to be working also on writing in January. How about Amy and I come and we can use your space in the downtime? And so our plan just changed in one phone call like this, and next minute we're
it was literally 2 weeks before.
So we find ourselves in this minus 20 crazy winter wonderland. Neither of us had been to Canada before, and so the whole thing was just a mad experience, and then got the ferry out to Wolf Island to this old hotel, and it was like The Shining. There was only a couple of people working there because it was the winter time. And so we were waking up super early, jet lagged, and just starting to write, and got super inspired by this strange circumstance of, and obviously sometimes people say that to get your creative juices flowing, change something or sit in a different room, but never mind. We were sitting in a different country with borrowed instruments, and I suppose we'd never really seen like a big thick winter, like this snow up to here and frozen lakes, and so that just like I think it was just a really crazy.
So we stayed there for one full month.
A full month,
in this hotel, and the guy who owns the hotel is called Chris, which is a friend of both of ours, and he very kindly put us up in this pretty big like apartment space upstairs with a big window overlooking Lake Ontario that was just completely frozen over, and so we kind of just set up this little mini writing setup upstairs that we could demo little ideas, and then when we were ready to start tracking what would then become either a demo or some of the stems or tracks that we kept for the actual final versions. Then we would just go downstairs and start to record on all of this kind of real vintage gear that our friend
it was super cool.
Like the whole downstairs of the hotel, he just converted it into a studio space. It was very crazy.
It's such a like phenomenal record to listen to. I've listened to it a few times, and like
thanks.
It's definitely like a headphone record, because it's like I think it's to the blue that has the string section on the back half that like I love that, like the various fuzz tones and the like octave delays and all these layers that like every time I'm listening I'm like, oh, what's that? I tried to catch things, and it's a very, very rich listen, which I love. How much of that came from just having vintage gear around you in a new setting?
Yeah, like we literally took very, very little. In fact, I think it was just a few pedals. One of my favorites is that we use in our live show is a Memory Boy by Electro-Harmonix. So a lot of that sort of the delayed guitar stuff, but everything else. There was quite a few musicians who live on that island, and so Chris, as Amy mentioned, he would just like drive up the street knocking doors and is like, hey, I need a guitar, I need a drum kit. We're coming out with like, this gorgeous 60s Gretsch guitar and a beautiful old Slingerland drum kit, and so yeah. I mean, I suppose again that stuff inspires you, like playing through gear that you wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards, and so coming up with like little layers and ideas. And we did take the project and the stems back to Ireland, and then continued for one more month, and layered up some of our more familiar sort of stuff. And my friend came in and she did the strings on a couple of tracks, and so yeah, at the end of the tracking process, it was a nice mixture of that the unfamiliar, let that creatively go where it wanted to, and then just sort of finish off with kind of Yeah.
Like I said, album's called The Wounded Healer. Amy, what was your kind of lyrical process and inspiration for this record, and then what led to that title?
So firstly, it was not the intention from the get-go for it to be called The Wounded Healer, or for obviously you never really know which themes are going to come up when sitting down to write. For me, the whole songwriting process is and has always been like quite a traumatic experience for me, to be honest. Like, I'm somebody who if I do something, I do it with my whole self, and I have to delve in to the deepest point possible in order to draw out the most painful things, or the most introspective things, or philosophical things. So for that reason, when I know that I'm about to go through a period of songwriting, I know that there's a big kind of process ahead for me internally. So for this album, I I very, very quickly knew when sitting down to write some of the lyrics, that there was obviously and is obviously always a lot of things going on in the world. But definitely in writing this album, I suppose the themes of wars around the world and how wars are reflected inside of us, and what is the war within, and how is that reflected back and forward at each other, so the individual and the collective. My internal processes, you asked what what they were. I mean, there's so many layers to how I am to explain this, but a mixture of reflecting on things going on around the world that we find unfair, unjust. Also, always there will be influences from my personal life. I faced a hugely traumatic thing when I was 16, when I lost my mum to suicide. So from that point onwards, my songwriting and basically the entirety of my existence has always revolved around me trying to find meaning in life, whether that be for myself or whether that be so that my mum knows that I have found that. I don't know, but I know that it's always been there and it always will be. So that mixed with the strange environment of being in frozen Wolf Island, and I suppose reflecting on what the nature around us is, how the nature is reflected in human behavior. So how we freeze moments or responses, like in Wave of Wisdom. Noticing when we respond to something and how we respond to something, how our trauma can become wisdom if we so let it, or if we're so capable. So yeah, I mean, these are just a few of the themes that resulted in my personal inner workings.
Yeah, it's amazing how much our media and news consumption has changed, where it's like things generations would never have any clue about. We have our trauma and our bullshit, and now we have everybody else's trauma and war, and it's a lot all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like we're not designed to take on the weight of all the world, and if you take that idea of 150 people in your village, in your tribe, and that's more like what we're in tune with over thousands and millions of years. Never mind this little box that gives us the update of the 12 billion of us now every morning. You go, wow.
Yeah. Talk to me about the album artwork. It's very simple.
It is very simple. We decided to eventually go with the strength of the Preyrs logo for the cover of this album. That is not to say we didn't have other ideas of what the album cover should be. We did go through a process of kind of choosing what was the best way, but eventually just, I suppose, landed on the idea of letting the music speak for itself, and letting it be defined also, or letting the logo be defined by the music, so that when people recognize the Preyrs logo, they'll instantly connect it with the music.
Yeah, that's cool. I really like how the record is structured, because my favorite songs on the album are the last three, and I love getting to the back half of a record and being like, oh, it gets better.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, really good.
What are the last three?
I think something towards the end is a track called "What Does It Feel Like," and it's funny. It's one that we never considered to be, well, more just maybe it felt like an album track, something that lives towards the back end, but it's one that has jumped out to a few people, and particularly the guys at the label were like, "Oh, that should be a single," or it's like, okay, well, but you never, when you're so close to it, you never know.
Yeah, for sure. Nova into WDIFL into Life is Kind. It's like, yeah, it's phenomenal. Nova especially, the first time I heard that song. I was like, this is it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do love that song. And actually, a fun fact is when we did the final album listen through before like the final sign off on this album, we went through a walk through what we call the cabbage fields here in Germany. And as we were listening to Nova, each with our own headphones on, it was nighttime, walking through the cabbage fields. Nova came on and a shooting star just shot all
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was
That's
really
awesome.
Yeah, totally amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing. Album's out November 14th. Do you have plans for the rest of this year? The rest of this year is almost over. Like, what's the future look like?
The year has only just begun.
Yeah.
Right.
For a lot of people winding down, our year feels like it's actually just starting. We've been lucky enough to got a really great support tour with a band called New Model Army. They're an English band, but they're more well known, particularly in Germany. And our agent is friends with their manager, and he put us forward, and we got the gig. And those are going to be probably some of the biggest shows we've played. The audiences range from 1,000 to 4,000. Some sold out shows, and just the timing. Again, it's just one of those little uncanny things about the tour was supposed to happen last year. Their drummer got sick, and they just moved everything forward to this November. And now the same thing Amy said earlier on, that we had to like cancel the and the start working with Pelagic, and now the timing of that is like the record is out at the very start of this tour. So it's for an independent band like us, especially that back step of rebranding, we're gonna get to play 12 shows to a whole lot of people, and that for a launch pad for the record is really special and amazing opportunity. So yeah, that'll see us through to December, I guess. So
I would just say I hope that people get what they need from it. Whatever it is, I hope what you need finds you through this.